this mouth, fear has no place here.
We need moments.
Yeah.
We need moments that our kids look back on, and they need the moments in the pool wrestling. They need the moments in the snow playing what we call bucking bronco.
Oh yeah.
And you have to start to decide, what moments are you going to create, man? Are you going to create moments for yourself, or are you going to create moments for your family?
Hey guys, welcome back to Dad Awesome. This is episode 14, and man, appreciate you joining us and excited to share more from my interview with Nick Foulks. So you just heard one short answer, and we've got about a 25-minute interview with Nick Foulks. Nick and I have been friends for over 12 years now. Him and his wife Shelly have 4 kids. They've got their little 7-month-old through their 8-year-old daughter. They've got 2 boys, 2 girls, live here in the Twin Cities. And Nick Foulks actually serves as a pastor at Substance Church in kind of a part-time role where he's on the kind of creative team, working on projects like Substance Variant, working on our teaching team. So he preaches messages both in the main weekend services along with other like Substance Youth and other audiences. But Nick also works for Great Waters Financial. So he is a financial planner extraordinaire. He would be able to explain a lot better than I can what he does, but he helps people use their money, live now, and use their money wisely, invest their money for doing amazing kingdom purposes and doing some awesome stuff with finances. So that's kind of what Nick's doing professionally. As a dad, I see Nick as being one of these really intentional dads, and I was pumped to get a chance to spend a little time with him. I think you're going to love this conversation. Appreciate Nick Foulks, his vulnerability as he shares about his relationship with his dad, and then as he shares just what he's learned through these 8 years of being a dad with 4 little kids in ministry, in business, and kind of balancing all of the above. So just really excited to share this conversation. Before we jump to the one-on-one, the interview with Nick Foulks, though, I want to let you know we are kicking off something a little special tomorrow. So tomorrow is we're actually 21 days away from Mother's Day. So as dads, there's a few of us single dads, which nothing but loved the single dads listening. That's awesome. But for those of us who are married, we are going to be intentional for 21 straight days. And I'm calling this challenge The Chase. So The Chase is basically our Dad Awesome Mother's Day challenge. And it's 21 days of intentionally pursuing your wife leading up to Mother's Day 2018. So again, we're 3 weeks away from Mother's Day. This kicks off tomorrow. And if you want to be a part of this challenge called The Chase, you actually need to sign up, and I'll send you a daily text message at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm up early. I'm up at about 5 a.m. every day. So I'm gonna send out a text message, batch some messages out to you guys at 6:30 in the morning each day. And here's the challenge, The Chase. It's 21 days again, and it's gonna be, we're gonna pray daily for our wife. We're gonna do an act of love daily, and this is gonna be around kind of the love languages concept. So different types of basically a daily challenge to show our love for our wife. And then daily we're gonna write an appreciation note, a love letter, if you will, either on a note card or in a journal of some sort, so that on Mother's Day we can hand our wife 21 of these notes. So again, this is super fun. It's intentional. It's going to be undercover. It's not going out on Facebook and everywhere, but I am inviting you in to being a part of The Chase, and it kicks off tomorrow, Monday morning. We're 21 days away from Mother's Day. So there'll be more information in the notes of this podcast and in the email that I send out. But with that all said, excited to jump to my conversation with Nick Foulks. And the first question we jump into is actually, I was talking with him about Substance Variant, which again it's actually again the second week in a row. It's our music, kind of the music being featured on the podcast this week. But Substance Variant is a project that Nick Foulks is a part of, kind of the creative efforts, and he is our rapper. So he's doing the spoken word rap pieces in this album. And I talked to him about writing lyrics, and then we segued into talking about how being a lyricist, writing lyrics for music, and then speaking words of life to our kids. There's something powerful about words, intentional words, how we speak words of life. And he jumps into talking about intentionality of how he speaks words over his kids. So let's jump to that question with Nick Foulks.
Your children are, and even people around you are often becoming what you say of them. They become the things that you believe about them and what you tell them they can and cannot be, who they are and who they are not. The world is for sure going to try to tell them who they are and who they're not, but there is no more powerful voice than those of the dad and the mom, reaffirming truth into your kids. So that's why, for me, it's very, very important that they know who they are. Especially for my kids being interracial, and right now in this time in the country that we live in, like there is some racial tension, right? And we were even at the conference we're at right now. It was a huge underlying theme of what we're talking about. So for me, I have to help instill the identity of who they're going to be and who they are in Christ, right? There is a good friend of mine who he was talking about, they had lost a child, and he was praying in his car, and the Lord just spoke to him because he was upset, and he was like, God, like this was all in your hands. Like you're the one who's in control, right? Like that baby was in the womb. It was up to you. And God just kind of paused him and was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You do understand that I'm that kid's real father, right? That like you are an intermittent parent.
Wow.
That like I lend that child to you for a season, but then I take them home. Like I'm the true dad. And when we look at it from that perspective, that like we're stewarding what belongs to God, and when we speak to our kids, we're speaking to something that belongs to God that He's lending to us for a season to honor Him with. So we have to be so cautious of what we speak into them.
I'm jumping forward a little bit in our conversation to Nick building upon this idea of their family values and how him and Shelly have been intentional with instilling values in their kids.
The biggest thing that we try to do is, first of all, not focus necessarily on whether it's a black or white issue, or whether you're Asian or Native American or Indian or Mexican American or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
But rather that it's a folks, who are the folks family?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a folks? How do the folks carry themselves?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be one of us, right? What do we value as a family? And then ask yourself, are you living those values? Are you showing and reflecting those values? You were asking me earlier before we started, what are the things that I make sure Zach knows as my son, and as a house, and as a son of my house, and as a folks. And I really gathered it from reading a book called Raising a Modern Day Knight. So great resource for dads. Yeah. It talks about the rites of passage that we lack in our culture today. So there's no clear sign of manhood. There's no clear signs of responsibility. So if you ask my son, Zach, Zach, what is your job? You'll hear him say, my job is to protect. His job is to protect his sisters. Yeah. And so when he's rude or mean to his sisters, and I ask him, Zach, does that look like protecting your sisters or hurting them? Mm. He's like, no, that doesn't look like protecting them. So what's your job? My job is to protect. And then you ask him, what's the rest of your job? My job is to be kind. There's enough people out there in the world that are not kind. But we reflect Christ, and we reflect the kindness of Christ. Yeah. So what does that look like? That looks like serving, and that looks like taking care of people. Quick side story. I'm being kind. He was in his class, and there was a little girl who these boys were making fun of because her nails were painted. And so Zach stepped in and said, listen, she should not feel bad about having her nails painted. Her nails look beautiful.
Yes.
And he said, if you ever make fun of her again, I'll beat you up. And he goes, and I work out with my dad.
And I'm a ninja.
And I'm a ninja. So he was protecting that little girl because he felt like they should not, nobody should be making fun of her. You should be kind. And so that was, and we get those compliments from his teachers. Like he's so kind. He's very protectful of people and that's something I'm trying to instill in him. So be kind. So protect, be kind, tell the truth. Yeah. There's nothing that will get us more upset in our household than lying. I don't care if you did wrong. I care if you won't tell me the truth about it.
Right.
So tell me the truth. And then the last one is listen and obey the first time. It's not about eventually you do something. It's learning how to listen and obey the first time. And the reason I want to instill that in him is not so that he's just, really impressive in front of other people. I tell him to do something, I say jump, and he says how high. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's because I want to teach him how to listen to an earthly father the first time, so he learns how to listen to a heavenly father the first time. So he doesn't have to live his life going through like, man, I really wish I would have listened to what God put on my heart the first time, but now I got to circle back and do this whole life lesson again. So if I can teach him how to obey an earthly father the first time, then he will hopefully obey his heavenly father the first time as well. And so, and it's very similar for my girls. It's the same type of thing, to instill those values. I have to prepare them that, like, yes, people will treat you different. But what I had to get away from was like this guarded mentality of like, listen, people are going to be this way to you, because maybe they won't be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully my prayer is that they won't be. So it's not me saying, people are going to be this way. It's if people should treat you like this, here's what you need to know about you, is that you're different, but you're different in a good way. You're an expression of mom and dad's love. Yeah. And God has uniquely created you and gifted you. And no, you don't look like everybody else, but why would you want to look like everybody else? Yeah. You know why people touch your hair? It's because your hair doesn't look like everybody else's hair. And they love how curly it is. And they love, why people, I can't get over you, is because your skin's so golden. They can't believe it, and just encouraging them in the beauty of who they are and how uniquely they're made. Like, Marlena, do you know how beautiful you're going to be? You got blue eyes and bronze skin. Girl, I'm going to have to lock you in the house. Just telling them those things. Like,
so words of beauty and affirmation and
beauty of their differences. And encouraging them in that, and not saying, no, people are going to treat you bad because you're different, but like, listen, you're beautiful. You don't look like everybody else, but that's because God made you unique. And celebrate your beauty and celebrate your uniqueness, and that you don't look like everybody else. Because how fun would that be, right? Yeah. But calling them to a higher standard, not because they're different, but because they're Christ-like. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I was growing up, and I love my mom and dad, but I went through this battle of like, listen, people aren't going to look at you the same. Because my sister and I, we were some of the first African-American children to live in the school district we were in. Yep. Right? So we're growing up in this predominantly white area, and all eyes are on me because I'm setting precedent for, people of color coming into that school district. There were just some values and some principles which helped me excel, but also made me a little bit jaded. Like, people are going to, they're going to expect more. They're going to be looking for an opportunity to nail you to the wall if you're not perfect, if you're not better than, if you're not equal to. And so I had to deal with that. And there was like some of the cynicism that comes with that, and some of the edge, like the roughness that comes around you from that. And I don't want my kids to be like that. I want to demand more of them, not because they're different, not because they're different because of their skin color, but because of who God is in them, because they know Christ. Like, be different, respond different, act different, because you are different, because you've got the Spirit of God living in you that other people don't necessarily have. Yeah, so that's why I want to draw them to a higher level.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Going to jump forward to my next question, which was asking Nick what characteristics he saw in his dad that he wants to repeat in how he leads as a dad.
I love my dad so much. I look at young men today and my heart breaks for them because they don't have that dad who loved you enough to call you on your crap, right? Like, My dad was not perfect, but he was there. He would save his vacation to travel with me for basketball. If he was doing something, he wasn't doing it without me being out there. He didn't even need my help. I'm just holding stuff. But it was the side by side, and it was the conversations. He was so intentional about when seasons of my life were changing that he was going to have conversations. Like when I was going through rough seasons, my dad would be like, "Get your clothes ready because tomorrow we're going fishing in the morning. Like, so I'm going to wake you up. 5:45, boy, you better be ready." And that wasn't just because he wanted to go out and catch some fish. He knew that time on a boat, just me and him, was his time to talk to me.
Yeah.
And so we would sit there, and my classic dad's question, "So what's going on with you?" "Nothing, I'm fine."
Yep.
"Okay. We gonna be out here." So, so he wait me out, man. And, but I had so many conversations about what did it mean to be a man.
Yeah.
And what did it mean to take responsibility for my actions. And one of the things, because I was super, I dealt with a lot of anger being young. And he taught me how to maintain, he would always say, you need to learn how to maintain emotional control. Like nobody can take control of you unless you let them. And he taught me about when I wanted to marry Shelly. What did that mean? And just telling me that this is it. He said, you don't make this decision but one time. You don't say but one time, I do. There's no quitting this, Nick. So I pray, man. I pray I can be as intentional with some of these conversations that he was with me. But not only intentional there, but with my time. There's so many moments, on the driveway, playing basketball against him, that I will never forget. Conversations that made me a man, challenged me in my character, to be consistent, to know who I was, never let anybody tell me who I wasn't. And that's what I want to carry in to my kids. It's intentional conversations and being willing to wait them out. I don't care how long this takes.
Yeah.
We're going to be here.
The moments that can be created through intentional weekly rhythms. I mean, we're not perfect. It's not regimented. It's every week with all 4 kids, one-on-ones. Impossible. But I take steps that sacrifice other things.
Yep.
Maybe we're not both playing in our basketball league this year.
Yep, those are gone.
Because we're not. We did play. We're not this year. You set certain things aside because you say, no, this is more important. This is a season of life I can never have back.
Yeah.
So tell me about, and I know about a few of them, but I'd love for our listeners to hear, what are some of those, hey, I do this every week, or I try hard to do this as often as possible to create those moments that I can wait out my kids. Tell us about a few of those rhythms.
The Family Friday. For us, that's huge because, working two different jobs is consuming. And my kids know, they know there's 2 days that Dad is all ours. Family Friday, Dad, what are we doing for Family Friday? Because, we might be playing a board game together or Uno or drawing, coloring contests or making cupcakes or watching movies and popping popcorn and everybody snuggled up on the couch. And but they know, that's our time. Family Friday is our time. Yeah. And Mom and Dad aren't going to schedule something over that. So, and it's hard because, working in ministry, people want to spend time with you, right? Yeah. Families want to get together with you. But we do have limited time. So we have to prioritize those things and say, that's what Family Friday is. And then Saturday mornings, Saturday mornings, that's big breakfast time. Like, they're going to help me make pancakes. Marlena's going to be trying to crawl up and I help. And we're going to do that. And then we got our swim lessons. So whether that's Wednesday or Saturday, we have our swim lesson time. And then after swim lessons is another time where I have like just Zach and Adar, just my 2 older kids. We usually go, like to maybe it's like McDonald's and get something, or Culver's or whatever it may be. But it's just, the time. We stagger the classes so that one kid's in the water and I'm watching them, but I'm also sitting side by side and talking with the other one. And hearing how they're doing and encouraging them, telling them how I'm proud of them. And then they switch. And so I have that time with them. And then afterwards I have time with just the 2 of them, just connecting with them. So there's some intentional things that we try to do to make sure that we are just spending that time. But one of the things, like, man, as a dad, I want to encourage dads, like, if you have to go to Home Depot, Menards, whatever it is, Fleet Farm, like, grab one of your kids and bring them with. Yes, it may slow down the process for you looking for stuff. I look, and there was like so many times my dad was like, get your coat, get your shoes. And I was like, where are we going? He's like, that doesn't matter. Get in the car. So, yeah, okay. But that was my time to talk to him. Like, he knew he had other stuff that he had to get done. But he also knew that he had to drive there and he was going to have time. And so I try to do that. Like, walking through the store, I bring Zach with me. I bring Adar with me. And I take one of them. I don't take both of them.
Right.
I choose one. And that's that's like just a little additional time. I say, come on, let's have some daddy-daughter time. Let's have some father-son time. And I snag them and I take them with me. Just so that way those moments, I don't miss moments, or just try to find moments even.
If I knew then what I know now, I would love to give this tip to myself back then. Can you think of a moment that maybe that you wish you could have back as a dad?
Yeah. So I'm super driven. And when I first went into like full-time professional life, like corporate side, like business side, there was so much of me that was trying to prove, like, can I do this? Right? I'd been successful in ministry. Like, God had blessed me and given me favor there. But can I do this? There was a season where I was just working like crazy. I just started missing moments. I missed moments because I was trying to obtain things for them, right?
Sure.
Like, you want to give your kids a better, whether you think you're going to do this or not, subconsciously it is ingrained in you that you want to provide a better life for your kids than maybe even what you had, right? Or you want to give your kids the best opportunities that they can have, or the best lifestyle. And I found myself working to generate bigger incomes so that I could, get more things for them or give them bigger, better, whatever.
Sure.
And watching those things sit around your house or go unused because they're best used with you and your child was a real wake-up call. That I'd rather have less and more time than more things and not enough time to do it with them. So that's like what I would go back and say is, like, don't waste your time earning money to spend on things they don't actually want, when you building a cardboard box castle with them was way cooler than any toy that you were gonna buy. Like, a swing set's only awesome when you're pushing them. I've really got 18 years. Right? So I've got 8 of those are gone. I've got 10 years left with Adar.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you start to do the math on the number of days that is, right? That will mess with you. And you start to go, I've got this many days really left before they're out of your house in college and making some of their own decisions based on what you've instilled in them. It'll mess with you. So what I had to do was go, okay, based on this 30,000 foot view of what I want to pour into my child and into my family and what I want this to look like, how does this decision I'm about to make weigh out? How does the basketball league compare to that? Like, how do I want to set up my budget in comparison to that? like we weren't going to take a family vacation this year, but after like a year of transition and adding another baby, I looked and I was like, no, we need moments.
Yeah.
We need moments that our kids look back on, and they need the moments in the pool wrestling. They need the moments in the snow playing what we call bucking bronco.
Oh yeah.
And you have to start to decide, what moments are you going to create, man? Are you going to create moments for yourself, or are you going to create moments for your family? My dad missed one game from the time I started playing in 6th grade till I graduated high school. Like that's what I remember most about basketball.
Yeah.
Was that he was there.
It's with you.
He was with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I remember traveling with him. I remember laughing with him in the hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And, being on the buses with him. And
he sacrificed a lot.
He gave up
there.
all the vacation time, all the things he could have been doing. Like all the home projects or fishing trips or like whatever he wanted to do with his friends and stuff like that. And am I saying that we need to give up everything for our kids? No, but he knew that when it was all said and done, he wanted to have the relationship that he has with me now. Yeah. And so that's what I weigh out. It's like, it wasn't even the moment. It was the fact that he was there in the moments.
Yeah. And I want to spotlight the compounded effect. It's your dad. He invested that in you, showed you were worth it. Showed you wanted the one-on-one time. He wanted, he pursued like being with you and sharing those moments. It's that investment is compounded. You're an investment guy. You get this. And I'm explaining it right now, right? Like then now it's compounded to you and your 4 kids who are experiencing very similar. You are with them. You are for them. You are speaking words of life over them. Now, someday, the generational, it's all throughout the Bible. It talks about the like to the 3rd and 4th generation, to the 10th, that we are a part of something much bigger that's back to the pan out to 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
And I think we forget about it way too often.
Yeah.
And that's one of my prayers for this podcast, this resource, that I can help myself do that. But then the dads will think more, what is possible in the 10 years, in the 20 years?
Yeah.
What about further out even than that?
Yeah. So think about it like this, man. Like, think about your kids are grown and they're adults and they're talking to their kids about you. Mm-hmm. What will they say? How will they describe grandpa? How will they describe dad to their kids? What will be the generational legacy you leave? Will it be, grandpa was, grandpa didn't really do that kind of stuff with us. He was busy. He was great in business. Your grandfather was a great businessman. But no, we didn't really do family vacations. We didn't really do, or will it be the way that, like, I talk about my dad, like, grandpa was there. Like, even now, I was talking to my dad because we're getting ready to put in a fence at our house. And he's like, well, let me know. I'll schedule the dates off. And he comes up and he's going to dig holes with me and pour cement, Like, that's the kind of, like, And I want my kids to look back and be like, Grandpa Nick was all about family time. Like, he used to be, like, you should have seen our family Fridays growing up with Grandpa Nick. Like, that's how he was,
Maybe as friends, we just need to start calling each other. Hey, Grandpa Nick. To like reset your brain on, are you thinking
Isn't it true,
legacy?
Though? Like,
focus?
Are you thinking legacy?
Mm-hmm.
How will your kids describe you to their kids?
Yeah. Wow. You mentioned Raising Modern Day Knights as a book that's impacted you as a dad.
Yeah.
So I will link that. You don't even have to elaborate on it because you did already a little bit. But is there one other resource that you're like, yep, this has been helpful?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Dr. James Dobson, Raising the Strong-Willed Child.
Yeah.
So dealing with strong-willed child, just understanding that, how do you do that, right? Because it's, some people, they have that first kid and that first kid's so easy. That's Adara. She's like, she like came out being like, how can I help? But then you have other kids that aren't like that. And to not be like, what did we do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't shape them that way. God shaped them with a strong will for his purposes. But you have to learn how to mold that strong will for him.
Yeah.
And so we were in a spot where we were like, we don't know what to do with this child. Yeah. And just being vulnerable, like we were like, I don't know how to handle her. Mm-hmm. And Dr. James Dobson's book was so life-changing for us on not letting ourselves get to a point where we're so emotionally overwhelmed that we can't properly love on this child. Yeah. That like, okay, let's set the right boundaries and let's discipline in the right way to mold that well. Yeah, so it was good.
Thank you. And I will link both of those. Here's a promise. We've gotten through 3 of my 18 questions during this first round.
Sorry, everybody.
So we are going round 2. So we're going to do a round 2 with Nick Foulks, and I'm pumped for our second conversation. I'm grateful to have years of just these conversations of learning, but this has been one of the most intentional ones, and I've been blessed by this conversation. So thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for walking out this journey of being a dad with that legacy focus and not being perfect, but being faithful. So appreciate you, Nick. Well, that was my conversation with Nick Foulks. And as always, thank you guys for being dads who love and lead your kids towards an awesome God. This has been episode 14, and we do send out this email in case you're not on our Sunday night email list. dadAWESOME sends out a promised small dose of awesomeness every Sunday night that will link to the podcast or the video blog. And this week, just a quick reminder, we are kicking off the chase, this 21-day intentional pursuit of our wives up till Mother's Day. So information about that was at the beginning of the podcast. The music for this episode was brought to you by Substance Variant, and you can get all that at substancevariant.com, which is linked as well. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Don't underestimate me, 'cause it's not me anymore. I'm possessed by this power. No more victim speech comes out of this mouth. Fear has no